Women's Month Be Live community. My tip for today is specifically for mom entrepreneurs, but they can actually work with everyone. If there's only one skill you should learn, that is to master delegation. You want to focus on your core skills, what matters most to your business and your family. And at the end of the day, you want to focus on what brings results. There are actually many ways to delegate. Nowadays, we have AI, so you can automate recurring tasks. And anything that the AI can't do, you can delegate it to marketing assistant. So that's why I built our company that helps early stage founders, solopreneurs, and content creators focus on their core skills and then delegate the rest to marketing assistants in the Philippines. And of course, one last tip is don't forget about self-care. So you want to make sure all of that time that you save, you want to carve some self-care time, especially during Women's Month.
Well, hey, Be-Livers, and welcome to our final show for Women's Month. Happy Women's Month. Today, we are talking all about how to create a video marketing strategy. Tanya is here, and we are going to be breaking down everything you need to know about how to work with video as an entrepreneur, how to feel confident, and how to have a strategy for the videos that you are creating. Tanya is a video coach who has hosted 2 different video podcasts. She has been in this game for 4 years now, and she's bringing all of the great information. So, my friend, how are you today?
I am doing well, and I'm super excited that I get a chance to be here with you. This is going to be so much fun.
We're so excited to chat with you today. Tell us a little bit about how you got into the business of working with video.
Yeah, I actually have been coaching for 20 something years. So it was really within the last, I'd say, 4 to 5 years that I realized I had to make some significant changes, as many of us do. There's all these shifts in technology. Organic growth methods are not what they used to be. And so what I realized is that I was in a state of having to make a decision about whether or not I wanted to continue my business or to let it go. And it seemed that live streaming was something that I kept hearing all the social platforms talk about. They kept saying, hey, we want you to do lives. And they were opening up new avenues to be able to do that. And so finally, even being the introvert that I am, I said, I'm going to take this risk and I'm going to go live once a week for an entire year. And if it doesn't work, I'm out. But it ended up doing more than work. It actually changed me in ways that I didn't even imagine it would professionally, on a personal level. There was so much growth. There were opportunities that I had not expected to come out of just being vulnerable and putting myself on camera.
And I really love that you pointed out you're an introvert. So you don't have to be an extrovert to do video. You don't have to be somebody who constantly wants to be around people and recharges by being in other people's presence. Video, especially live streaming, is really helpful for introverts because you can create that community, but limit the setting in which you are doing that video because the second you go live, you're with those people. And the second you stop that video, now you have your space again. So
That's
let's
right.
talk a little bit about video, specifically the elements that make a successful business video and how we can then be implementing that into our business strategy.
So if you're going to be implementing video, if you're using a video, and again, when I started, I was just like, hey, I'm going to do this. And so I started with a walk-in closet. I started with the cams, the kind that point up your nose because they're part of your computer and they're not really like, you didn't go pay for them. They just were part of the things. I started with what I had. So something to kind of keep in mind is that your strategy with video does not begin with the gear, doesn't begin with the equipment or the heavy, expensive stuff. What it does rely on, however, is that you have a business strategy. Like, what is the goal that you have in mind for your business, and how are you going to incorporate video in order to meet those goals? So, for me, it's really honestly 4 parts. There are 4 things that I like to talk about in a framework that I teach. Confidence, which you may not have right off the bat, because I certainly didn't have that. but that begins to build as you become more competent in video. So, confidence, having a content strategy, and that incorporates a lot of different things that we can kind of cover at high level. The third thing is a consistency plan. Like, how are you going to stay consistent? Because the reason I said I would do it every week for a year is I knew myself. I've seen myself with exercise. And I knew I would fall off if I didn't just have a routine and regularly did the thing. The fourth thing is a conversion plan. So, what is your conversion strategy? How are you going to not just be out there on camera just doing video for sake of video, but how are you driving people to your business goals? Like, how are you converting them into becoming clients?
I love that. I want to lean in on that. So, when you are creating those funnels for your sales, when you are creating that drive toward your business and toward profiting, how do you integrate video into that?
So there's a couple of different ways that I would suggest to start off. So one, you want to think about there's four different parts of a sales cycle that really drive people. And so the way in which you're actually designing your video or deciding what you're going to use means that you have to think of every part of the four things I'm going to share. So I call it ABCD.
We love that. Nice and
Awareness.
easy.
Yeah, it's super easy, right? I go with easy. All about easy. Um, Awareness. So if you're creating a video to help people to become more aware of you, you probably want to explore things like the short vertical clips. So we're talking about shorts on YouTube, reels. I'm hearing that LinkedIn is experimenting with vertical shorts as well. But whatever you determine to be your shorts platform. So TikTok is another one too that's pretty popular, but 60-second or less typically, if you're doing some type of shorts, those are for awareness building. But your live streams can also be a part of that plan as well. But let me move forward to the next three. So bonding for me has been where live streaming has really come into effect. So you're doing the shorts because you're helping people to get to know you, get to know your business, do teaser bites of the behind the scenes of how you do things, how you get solutions for your clients. The bonding phase is when now they know who you are, but they're starting to, really relate to you. They're starting to like you and trust you and know you. So it's going to be easier for you to move them into the C component, which is the conversion phase, where you're converting them into becoming clients. So at that point, you may be using video in your nurture process, right? So I use, for instance, a tool called QuickPage that allows me to do very personalized video emails. On my websites, as I design them, I always incorporate video in some way, shape, or form, even in the chat. So there's a little chat bubble on the bottom right of my screen that has a video that's welcoming people. The final phase is D, delight. So if you are moving people through this cycle and you're creating different types of video at every part of the sales cycle, the delight phase is where you might be doing, let's say you're doing live streams in that regard to a private group, to people that are already a part of your paid services or offers, right? So they've
Mhm.
already been through the C process. So now in that D phase, you're actually creating events where it's just you and them. You have these exclusive things that are happening so that they become raving fans that are sending more people back to A and then to B and through that process. So
Mm.
really, you can actually create a number of different types of video. I highly suggest right now diversifying the type of video content that you create. So for me, it is about the short videos, but it's also about creating the live streams, which allow you to build that community and that rapport. But then also doing some produced on demand videos that may be 10 minutes or less, where you can build your channel if you're building, for instance, on YouTube, LinkedIn, or one of the other spaces.
That's a really good point, and I love that you pointed out your content should be driving people to bring others back to the beginning of your funnel system, and having that engagement is so incredibly important. So let's lean in and let's talk a little bit about engagement. How do you attract and maintain the attention of your audience when you are in a very crowded online space to get them to then engage with you?
This is it's interesting because I always get this question, and it's almost like people think there's a secret formula.
Yep.
So I'll share my secret formula, and it's this. First of all, you really need to be authentically whoever you are. because I mentioned earlier that I'm an introvert. And so when I first started doing these lives, I hadn't found myself yet. Right? I
Yeah.
was watching other people's videos and seeing how they were, excitable and, they were jumping off the walls, or there were certain styles that I thought this would get attention if I tried it. And
Right.
it didn't work because it really wasn't me. When I started leaning fully into who I am, then I was able to attract the audience that is ideal and right for me. So I think engagement begins with you really just embracing whatever makes you who you are. So all of those little quirky things that maybe somebody said had something negative to say before, maybe the quirky things that you've said to yourself,
Mm,
embrace those things and really go all in on that, because the more authentic you are, the more of that heart-centered connection you're making with the audience that you're talking to, the more the people who are supposed to show up will show up for you. And so my mantra that got me through those times when I had crickets, my mantra was always right person, right message, right time.
mhm.
No matter if there was no one watching, I still was gonna show up. And I knew that whoever, even if it was one person that saw the replay and I didn't even know they watched it, that was the right person. And I just say a little prayer to myself before I go live. I just wanna make sure that I'm sharing the right message, that the right person will be reached, and that this is the right time. And you'll have to experiment with that to really kind of find where you want to be and where those people are that will find you and stick with you. But that really is where engagement begins. And there's a bunch more things that I could talk about as far as engagement, but I'll start there.
Oh, I love that, and if you want more on this, you can always look her up later, she's a great coach. But Lala is in the comments, she's saying, "Everything that you're saying makes so much sense." She's also shouting out the love for your shirt today. We love a good pink vibe when it comes to our live streams here, especially as we are celebrating Women's Month. If you're joining us live, and I see that you are here, go ahead and drop your questions down below. We're gonna get to those in just a couple of minutes. We're still talking all about video marketing and how we can lean into that to grow our brands through live streaming, through those shorts clips, through a longer produced video for your YouTube channel. And we're talking all about how you can, whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, thrive with using video as part of your sales funnel. So I want to talk just a little bit about tips you have for converting your viewers into leads and ultimately into clients. So as you're creating your content, what do you do, or what can you suggest that others do to make that conversion a little bit easier?
There's a couple of things, but before I say that, let me say acknowledge Lala. It's wonderful to see you in the comments. So thanks for being there. Um, One of the things that you can do to really help you to convert is to be consistent. It's important that you show yourself to be reliable.
Mhm.
Otherwise, people don't, that trust factor I mentioned, it just isn't there because you're sporadic. You're saying, okay, I'm going to be on, but I'm not going to be on today. So when I finally found that happy spot in time, the time of day and the weekday of the week, then that made it easier for me to be consistent and people saw me as reliable, which that begins to build psychologically for them. Okay, this person is someone I can trust. They're going to be more likely to open their pocketbook and convert into a client when they see that you're reliable in the smaller ways. Another thing to really kind of think through tactically is you need to have some type of call to action.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that it has to be a call to action to a paid offer every single time, nor does it mean that it has to be to a free thing every single time. But you need to consider as you're building your run of show, which is basically how you organize your episodes and what you're going to say if you're doing lives, you need to be thinking about, where do I build in seeds to help people to move in a direction that I want them to move. Like, do I want them to sign up for my list to get a free lead magnet that's created based on the topic that I'm talking about? Those are, this is a really simplified way of saying that. But ultimately, again, if you're live streaming for business reasons or you have a particular purpose that you're trying to drive with your live streams, you need to really be intentional and think about how every video you deliver ties to something. What does it tie to? So to me, I think if you're looking to convert, the easiest way to do that is to be thoughtful about what you're converting them to incorporate some type of call to action, to make sure that you show up consistently. And then also, I'll say this, the other side of that call to action needs to be tight. Like it needs to be something that's going to showcase you as the professional that you are. So don't send them to a broken link. Don't send them to something that no longer exists. If you have changed your CTA, your call to action, there are ways that you can actually correct your video, or do some trimming at the end, or use an end card. There are ways to actually fix or remedy that. But ultimately, you just want to make sure that you're pointing people to something that they're going to find relevant and that is going to represent you in the way you truly want to be represented as the pro that you are.
That is such a good and valuable point. And I really like that we leaned into calls to action, because those small steps, be it leaving a comment or liking and sharing the video or going to opt into a newsletter list, those small steps, by continually getting those little steps forward, that is going to lead to those bigger steps where they're more likely to take action on opening their purse and giving you money. So, going through and making sure that you have that ability to have conversations with your audience that lead to something in the future is incredibly helpful. And on that note, I want to talk a little bit about some of the tools and resources that you recommend for people trying to build up and enhance their videos. Then we're going to get to your questions. So, now is the time for you all to drop them. But while we're getting there, tell us a little bit about the tools and resources you like.
So, absolutely, having a live stream platform that is reliable and something that you can use that will help you to do things like Be Live does. Be Live allows you to be able to display comments as those are coming through the feed. Everybody loves to see their own name. So, for you to be able to acknowledge people publicly in that way is really important. So, having a reliable streaming platform that you love is really super important. I also think that as far as tools and devices go, I'm a big fan of having a great mic.
Yeah.
Now, you got to look at what your budget is, right? And decide what makes sense for me. For me, because I actually do an audio podcast and I also do video, of course, it was important to me to make sure that the sound was clear. And so I use a Shure MV7. I also am big on making sure that the quality of my video is good. So if you're looking at cameras, really at the level where you are, again, you don't want to jump right into thousands of dollars of investment in equipment. But personally, I started with just, I think it was, like I mentioned, the cam that was in my PC at the time. I have a Mac now. I graduated to a Logitech C922. Graduated from that into a Canon T6i, I think is what I had at the time. And now I use a Sony DSLR.
Mhm.
But there are also a lot of other amazing types of cams that are not as nearly as expensive. I have an Osbot Tiny 2. I have something called a DJI Pocket 3. I thought I had it here, but it's over there somewhere. But you want to think about making sure you look good, you sound good, but not only that, the most important tool that you need to have in your arsenal is this. Like, what do you know? What do you know, and how are you going to put that into a content strategy that allows you to constantly have content that you're talking about that's going to be relevant to the audience you want to talk to, and that's going to really showcase you as the expert in your field?
That
So,
is so smart.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that to me, that's the biggest tool. There's a ton of other tools I could talk
Yep.
about. Tons, because they call me a walking Google. So I'm always out there reviewing different apps. I have an Amazon shop. I sometimes go live there. I need to get back on that. But
Same.
there are definitely a lot of different tools out there. So depending on what you want. Oh, I'll say this last one because I don't want to leave this out. I'm a big supporter of making sure that you don't just let the live stream speak for itself,
Mm.
meaning you want to multiply that content after you're done. And it's so easy to do right now. So, Opus Clip is one of the tools that I use for repurposing my live streams. Video AI VIDYO, not video, but video. AI is a tool that is also excellent for repurposing your longer lives or longer videos into short clips. So those are really hot right now. Repurposing is the thing.
Absolutely. And especially with places like TikTok and LinkedIn really leaning into those clips that then drive traffic back to your longer form content, it is well worth the time and effort to take a little bit of time to repurpose that and reuse that again and again. Lala's in our comments saying she loves your audio quality and that it's amazing. Lala also has a really good question for us. What if you feel like you don't have an interesting personality? What if your authentic self may not be something engaging to people? What advice do you have on that?
Yeah, I thought that too. I thought, I'm boring. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I've got a corporate job. What would people want to know from me or about me? How can I be engaging? But the thing is, just going back to what I shared, which there's a whole lot more behind what I said, but I will say this: everyone has a story to share. Now, how you share it might be different than the person that's sitting next to you, but you have a story to share. So when you start thinking about your own experiences and what you've been through and how you have overcome challenges, because everybody has overcome challenges, and what you're passionate about, because I bet you're passionate about something, even if you don't think that you're entertaining or exciting. Look, I don't dance and sing on TikTok, so I'm not entertaining in that way, but I get really excited about talking about the things that I know, and the way in which I share comes off as enthusiastic. It comes off as, hey, she's engaging. And I'm engaging a certain, group of people. It's not everybody. I have a t-shirt that says, I'm not for everybody. Right.
Yeah.
And as long as you know that, your people will be attracted to you when you show up again as your true, authentic self. So somebody thinks you're engaging. You just haven't figured that out yet. If you put yourself out there and you show up, you're going to see who thinks you're engaging.
One of my favorite things to say is that I like and I encourage people to be polarizing. You attract the people that belong around you, and the people that aren't interested aren't in your space mucking things up.
That's
You
right.
want to be that person who draws in the people that are supposed to be connected, and those other people do not matter. So, no matter what your personality is, no matter what you do or how you do it, somebody's going to be drawn in, and the rest of the people just aren't your people, and that's the way it's supposed to be.
That's right. Totally.
So I want to ask, for people that are already implementing video into their marketing strategy, but want to level up just a little bit. So they've got the live streams, they've got the TikToks and the shorts and the YouTube videos. What are 3 things that they can do this week to take their content from where it is to where it can go?
Wow, 3.
You can do one, you could do two.
No, I'm gonna do 3. I'm gonna do 3.
Okay.
I could probably do 10. Here's 3. Number 1 would be, I want you, if you're already doing video, I want you to really go back and examine the workflows that you have in place. I'm a
Yes.
big systems person.
Yes.
So if you're doing videos already, and I'm assuming you have some type of system, but if you don't, and even if you do, you need to examine and evaluate where are the gaps and the leaks in time. Because I've worked with different clients who have said to me, yeah, Tanya, it takes me 4.5 to 5 hours just to do one video. And I'm going, why? Let's break down what exactly you're doing. What are the steps? And then as we evaluate those steps that person is taking, we can cut out usually about 75% of the steps by simply having a checklist.
Yep.
Right. So the number one thing is I want you to evaluate how you're delivering the videos. And really there's 3 parts to this. So how am I preparing for the video? And what's my checklist and workflow for that? How am I, when I'm getting ready to go on camera and I'm on camera, how am I delivering? Do I have a system for that? Do I need a script? Do I have a teleprompter? Like, what are the things that are required? And then afterwards, how am I producing and promoting that video? Because you can't just do the video and say, oh, I'm just going to wait and see if they're going to come. You have to go out and tell the world that you did the video. right? So
Yeah.
what is the process afterwards? And if you're putting those workflows and those systems in place, then it's going to be easier for you to, first of all, get the thing done quicker. But then, secondly, also for you to be able to outsource parts of that work.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess I'll break this down into this little formula. It's act, assign, and automate. What are the parts of that whole video process that I'm going to act on, that I'm going to assign to somebody else, and then I'm going to automate, put in automation flows? Those would be the things.
I love automation. I love outsourcing. I love everything about this. And so does Lala in our comments, spitting facts over here, and we love it. This has been such a valuable episode for people who are just getting into video, but also people who have been doing this for a while who want to level up and sharpen their skills just a little bit. So as always, we want to make sure that people who want to learn more for you or from you can reach you. So Tanya, where can everybody find you online?
Yeah, look me up on getnoticedwithvideo.com is my main site. Or if you like, you can go to streamlikeaboss.tv. That is a site that we're in the process of relaunching right now, but a lot of the content is already up and ready because we're going to be sharing some brand new programs and a bunch of other things that are so much fun. All the things that I talk about as far as video sales funnels, I'm really putting those into motion through that site. And that site will also give you all the different socials where I play. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it. I broadcast live on YouTube just about every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be there tonight as well. So streamlikeaboss.tv will send you to all the spaces.
And we cannot wait to check out those live streams. It's going to be so much fun to continue to learn from you. And we are so grateful that you could join us for our final episode of our Women's Month Discover Her series. If you have requests for people you would like to see as guests on the show in the future, go ahead and let us know in the comments. We're going to be monitoring this over the next couple of days and weeks to make sure we're getting the most qualified people, just like Tanya, to come in and help educate you so you can build your business and live stream and work on social media even better and stronger than you are right now. We've got some really cool guests coming up next month. So make sure you are subscribed, you are following along, you've hit all the notification bells so that you do not miss out on any of the fun. We are going to be doing some really cool things coming up. We've got some really fun series and mini series and episodes for you that you do not want to skip over. I know things get busy sometimes, but these are the ones that you want to watch on the replays, even if you miss the live streams, because they are so incredibly valuable to you. We will see you during our next episode. Happy Women's Month, everyone. And thank you for joining us for our Discover Her series. We will see you again next month. Bye, everyone.